Hello all, hope everybody's okay. We thought we'd do another video for you this week. This is one that I posted a picture of the sample on Facebook during the week, and lots of people asked if we could do this one as a video. So I'm hoping that this will work out okay. So we are going to be using, bear with me, I've got to get the right screens up so you can all see what we're doing. Okay, so we are going to be using the Chrysanthemum stamp, which is one of our larger 10.99 sets. We've got the sticky glue as normal, which comes in the two sizes, 120ml or the 30ml. We're going to use the white embossing powder from Honeydew Crafts. We've got the Vellum, the Versamark, and the Distress Oxide colours today are Twisted Citron and Picked Raspberry. Now, let me warn you, the next video isn't going to have Distress Oxides in it, I don't think. I think we're going to go on to some embossing powders for the next video, so hang in there. If you're not a Distress Oxides fan, there's something else coming your way. So let's have a closer look at what we're going to be doing today. Just take this one off so we can see it properly. So there we go. So this is the samples for today. Hopefully we can get started and you'll enjoy what we do. So let me pop all these bits out of the way. Somebody said to me today on a message how nice and tidy I am. If only they could see when I wasn't off camera how untidy I actually am. So just let me pop these out of the way and you can see we can do everything that you'll need to make this one. My little notes are a bit scribbled on this one actually because I couldn't fit it all on the piece of paper I'd got, so I could give you the sizes. So we've got a sheet of our vellum. It's not heat resistant vellum. The heat resistant vellum is designed to go through a printer and not curl, and obviously we want our papers to curl, our flowers to curl, so this is not a heat resistant vellum. Then as far as cardstock goes, we have our standard 8x8 card. We have a piece of white cardstock which is, let me just double check this one, is 5.5 inches by 11 inches. Then we have two pieces of white cardstock which are 7.5 by 4.5, so we've got two of those. And then we have two black for layering, which are, you're going to hate me for this one, 7 5/8 by 3 5/8. So they are the layers for the white cardstock. And we have another one here, and just looking at that, but let me just double check something, that I haven't cut this wrong. It just didn't look square. So this one is 5.5. Oh no, I lied. It's not. It's 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, and the layer below it is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. Sorry, it's just so that you can get the layers to all match up. And then the final one, which is the big one. This one is, let me just double check. The white one is 7.5 inch square, and this one is 7 5/8 square. Oh, that was a bit of a muddle, wasn't it? You'll just have to keep rewinding me to get that right. I'm going to pop this all out off to one side for a moment, because to try and keep the video going a bit faster so it's not so long, it doesn't take so long for you to all watch. I've done a little bit of prep work ahead of time. So you're going to take your 8x8 card. We're going to take the front piece and fold it back on itself, line it up, and then with a bone folder just pop that crease in there. So we've now got the zigzag on our cards. Okay, pop that to one side. We are then going to take the 5.5 by 11, fold that in half, and take the bone folder to that as well. So that gives us the nice crisp clean edge, and it gives us a 5.5 inch square card. Then we're going to take our, let's grab the right layer, where are we? Put everything everywhere today. There we go. So we're going to take two layers, which this is our 5 1/4 inch square, the white one. We don't need the black at this moment in time. And we're going to stamp our backgrounds. A few people have asked us how we stamp the backgrounds. and how we use just a set of stamps to make our backgrounds. This is my very well loved Chrysanthemum stamp set, very well worn. Now, just to save time, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to save time, I'm going to do this properly. We are going to, now we've got 3 different sizes of leaves, and I quite like to use all 3 sizes when I'm doing this because it just adds a little bit of interest to it. And we're going to take the just twisted citron to make our background. Oh, my hair has got so long now that it's getting in my way. So we're going to ink our stamp up. Now, I think I've said this before, but with the Distress Oxides, because we go in there with a blender quite a lot, or with the finger daubers, I tend to get a little bit of a well in the middle of my ink pad. I don't know if that will show up on the camera, but I do get a little bit of a dent in the middle. So make sure you work that around, and because it's a very square ink pad, be careful not to get those lines from the square on your stamp. And you're just going to randomly stamp this all over. It does take a few minutes just because you have to keep re-inking your stamp each time, but make sure you leave enough room to get all of your different sizes of stamps on there as well. Oh, look at that. Look, I don't want that. I don't know if we're going to be able to cover that. We'll just do that. Well, that wasn't bad for an 8. The light's not really showing this up brilliantly, is it? But I'll bring it in closer in a minute. Because you missed that, see, I missed a bit of my stamp, so I didn't want that. And remember, don't just use your leaves, you can use the bottom part of the stem and all sorts as well. So make sure you get full use of everything you've got now. Wet wipe it on dry. That wasn't very clever. I'm trying really hard to speak a bit louder as well, so hopefully people are not struggling to hear what we're saying. Feels like I'm really shouting at you, so if I am, I apologise now. I'm just trying to make sure everybody can hear us. So we'll just go in here and stamp these out. Remember, as I said, make sure you leave enough room to do this, to get all 3 sizes of your leaf on here at some point. I just think it's nice to make sure you, gives a bit of variation to it, doesn't it? I'm going to just spin that round and put that in there. And then we'll go on to our smaller one. I'm not going to ink with the lid very easily, am I? And remember, as I've always said, make sure you take your ink to your stamp, not your stamp to your ink. It just makes for a much easier, better covered image. And try your very best not to overlap anything. If they're going to overlap, try it at a different angle. I have a feeling we might have just caught one of them, but oh no, we just made it, just made it. Think about it a little bit as you're doing this so that you do leave yourself the space to get things in where you want them to be. Now I know I only caught the tip of that one on there, so I know I've got ink on the bottom there to just pop that there. And I've got a side leaf there that can go in there. I think that's enough. Just going to pop that out of the way. Give my stamp a quick wipe over so that I can pop it back in. I'll be 100% honest, if you saw some of my stamps you wouldn't believe that I actually clean them, because half the time I don't. I just put them away, but I can't have green fingers on everything. So we just pop those out of our way. So then, as I would say all the time, each layer I try and add the layer on there and get it out of the way. So my 2 layers become 1. It's only 1 thing to lose instead of 2. We're going to line that up. And it gives you that couple of seconds for wiggle room to get that square where you want it to be. There we go. Now I need you to do that with all the individual white pieces. So all the white pieces that I gave you the measurements for a little while ago. So that's the 5 1/4 inch square, the 7 1/2 inch square, and the 2 longer white thin pieces, which I believe were 7 1/2 by 4 1/2. So all of those white pieces, do that with your leaves on and layer them up onto your black, which will end up looking like, sorry, you've got my arm right in the middle of the screen there. You'll end up with this. Now when you do your large piece, you don't need to worry too much about the centre of it, because you're actually going to stick something over the top of the centre of that anyway. And then you've got your 2 panels and your final little square. Now we're going to start to piece this together a little bit so that the base of the card is done before we make our way on to doing the flower to go on the top. I've got too much going on the desk today. So we've got our square, our 8 by 8 card that we folded. We're going to place the large square in the middle. There isn't a right nor wrong way of doing this. You've done your background how you want it to be, so just find the best angle that you like the best and position it on here. And then your 2 skinny panels are going to go on your folded creased piece. This is actually one of the cards we taught on one of our workshops. So we do have a list of workshops on our website. Obviously at the moment they are there. We're just waiting to see what can happen throughout the year. Hopefully we'll manage to get all in that are now left on the website. But we do them, at the moment we do them in Norwich, Portsmouth, Lee, near Manchester, Coventry, is that everywhere? Oh, and Newcastle. So we have 5 venues at the moment. We do them twice a year. So, and they do fill up really fast. So be aware of those if you're interested in those. Now this is by complete fluke. Look how close those two have got together. And this was complete fluke. Can you see that? I couldn't have done that if I tried. Right, so that gives us the base of our card. Then you're going to take your folded small piece, bit that was 5 1/2 by 11, and we're going to stick the panel that we've just done onto the front of that. Now, if you've got a right and a wrong way for this panel, be aware that this is the way you would open a card normally, but we're going to be turning it round 180 degrees. So if you've got a right and a wrong way, make sure you've chosen the right way to put it on. Go a little bit close on the edge there, or is it a bit tight? Again, line that up on there. It gives you that couple of seconds to move it where you want it to be. Or not, if it doesn't want it to move. Oh, that one was even worse. Hang in there. Now, who would have thought this was going to be the most difficult part of the day? Obviously me. Oh my goodness. There we go. So, that is our flower, our card. We're then going to take this square, of the 8 by 8 card, as I said, opening it in the opposite direction. We're going to position it in the middle of this card. goodness, we're at 15 minutes already on this video. I don't know where the time goes when I do these. So that then opens up like so. Now, you don't need to make this decision yet, but you can either do it so it sits there and we'll pop a flower on here, or you can do it so your flower sits on the front here and it holds the card together. We'll get to that point in a minute. So I'm going to pop that out to one side. We're then going to take our sheet of vellum and Versamark ink and the largest of the flowers out of the chrysanthemum set. You can use whichever one you want. If you'd rather use the smaller one, go for the smaller one. There's a lot of detail on this stamp, so make sure you put plenty of ink on there. But don't press really hard, just lots and lots of light taps. I'm actually only going to do one, but you need 3. And I'm only going to do one just to save some time, because I'm aware that time is ticking by on us fast on this video, and you don't want them to be really, really long. Now, one thing I will say, when you stamp this stamp out, don't press really, really, really hard in the centre. There is detail in the centre, and it would be nice to keep some of that detail to show. We're putting embossing powder over the top, so you don't need to, you just need to kind of kiss the card with it, make sure it's taken, but don't smush it. I like that word, smush. So we tip the embossing powder all over the top and give it a really good flick to get rid of the excess. That allows the detail to still come through on that stamp. So you want to do that 3 times. Just going to put that out of the way. And then we're going to heat emboss this. We're heat embossing on vellum, so you're going to hold the vellum in the air to allow the heat to travel through. Get your heat gun hot before you take it to the vellum. Once you see the powder start to change, make sure you take your heat gun away. You want the powder to sort of be chasing you rather than you chasing the powder. So I'm going to get this really hot, or as hot as it will go, and then I'm going to heat the powder. As it changes, move your heat gun away. And don't be tempted once it's all changed and melted to go in and give it that extra go over. You don't want to do that. So once it's dry, which is pretty much instantly, turn this stamp over, and then you're going to take, we're using picked raspberry this time. This is my favourite colour. Now I'm going all the way around the edge, but as you can see I've left sort of a centre. Because we're going to pop a big gem on here, you're not going to see the very centre on here the way I do it, because it's a large gem. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the green and go around the edge, because I would like some of that to be picked up. So we've gone past what would be normally the centre of the flower, and taken out a bit wider than you normally would. And we're going to flip that over, and we have to cut this all out. Now, a little trick to cutting this one, because there isn't a die for this stamp as yet, is I go all the way around, right to the tips of each of those petals. And then I go all the way around again, cutting into the centre piece. Can you see I've gone right into that centre point there? But I keep going all the way around the same direction. And it doesn't have to be cut out beautifully. If anybody's looking that closely, they won't be getting a handmade card again from you, will they? So once you've gone all the way around, you're then just going to go in and snip. Go back on yourself, the opposite direction, and just snip those little triangles out. And I found that's the quickest way to cut this one out. Okay, so I have already got these cut ready to go. So you need 3 flowers. So you'll end up with 3 already cut out. I've curled 2 already. I'm just going to show you how to curl these. Completely random, however you're happy with them. If you want them, excuse me, if you want them all to curl under, just pull them all under. I'm just literally wrapping it around random. This one I might go the other way, go underneath, and I might just do a flip up, but nothing has to be exact, just to add a bit of a difference to them. You can do a few at a time, however you're happy with them. I need this one, I want this one to be a little bit random, but quite often I'll do it so that they're all perfect, because all curled the same way or all turned under. But just to add a little bit of interest, we'll flip some up, we'll flip some under, and we'll curl some. And you can be quite rough with it. Now at this point, if some of your powder is cracking off, it's because you've overheated your vellum. That's when I say to you, don't go back and be tempted to give it that extra once over, just to make sure, because that will be you overheating it. You're then going to pop it in the middle of your hand and give it a poke and a wiggle. Now it's not a scrunch, it's just a wiggle, and it's the heat from your hand that curls it up. Can you see how we've got a little bit more of a rounded dimension to it now? Then we're going to layer these three all up. Pick your favourite one, put that on the top, and try and not line all the petals up. There is a lot of embossing powder in the middle of this flower, so it might take a little bit of time to get it, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat today, to try and to get them to stick, but bear with it, it'll be worth it in the end. So we'll just hold that down for a second, and then I'm just going to find my big gem. I said to you we were popping a big gem in. This is one of the 18mm clear silver ones that we have on the website. Pop some glue in the middle and just let that sit. Again, doesn't take very long, just hang on to it for a couple of minutes or a minute or so, and it dries. Glue dries clear, so if you have oozed out anywhere, it will dry clear anyway. Okay, so you'll end up with a flower like so. We then also need some foliage. So I keep all the little offcuts or extra bits of my vellum to do exactly this, to do all my foliage for my flowers. So I'm just going to take the large flowers again, the large leaves again, and stamp out a couple of each size. Now again, I'm doing these in Versamark. I'm just going to do one of each size so that you can see, because I've already cut these out, okay, ready to roll. I can't believe how time flies when we're making these cards, they go so fast. I've just done one of each to show you what we're doing. And then again, we're going to pop some white embossing powder on here. Give it a good flick to take the excess off and pop that back in the pot. I'm going to heat emboss this. Again, get your heat gun hot, and as the powder melts, move away. Oh, did you hear that? I think my heat gun might have just died on me. That was lucky, wasn't it? Just finished. So we would then turn these over with the twisted citron all over to colour those in. And go around and cut those out as well. And here's some I made earlier. So I'm just going to pull out a few of those petals just to give them a little bit of shape. I can't believe how fast the time's gone. I'll get a couple of the medium ones. You don't need to use all of these, this is just me making sure I had enough of everything. Pop them out of the way. So we'll go back to our finished card now. Now I'm actually going to pop mine here to keep the card closed. But there's different places you can pop your flower here. So it would sit on the outside when it opened. Or you can pop it on here, and when it opens it would sit on the card, so it would probably fall back inside. So the choice is yours, but I'm just going to pop it on there just because it's a little slightly different to the one that I showed you on the website. The one that I did on the Facebook, that I showed on Facebook as well, the flower I just coloured with a white ink on the back, so it was all quite neutral. But I thought I'd make this one pop a little bit. So we'll pop a little bit of glue on the back. Stick that in the middle. And then we're going to get the foliage and just position it where we fancy it being. There is no right or wrong. You can do it however you like it. Now, we've had lots of really lovely comments about people with the videos and how they're really enjoying what we're doing. So, and we would love to see some of the stuff that you've made. So feel free to pop onto Facebook or email us over some pictures of some of the stuff that you've made as well. I hope this is helping make the time on our lockdowns. If you're watching this in a few months' time, this was all filmed while we were on lockdown for the coronavirus. COVID-19, as I believe it is now called. I've stopped watching all the news and stuff now myself, but it just gets to you. So just pop as many on there as you want, and then there is our finished card. So just a quick recap on what we have used, if I can find what we've used. So we have got the Chrysanthemum stamp. We've used Honeydew Craft sticky glue, and that comes in the two different sizes, the 120ml or the 30ml. We've used Honeydew Craft white embossing powder. We've used Versamark ink, and the colours we've used in Distress Oxides are Picked Raspberry and Twisted Citron. And a couple of lovely pictures of some of the lovely samples that have been done with the rest. I need that one to come away, with the same stamp. So this one has been made by one of our design team, and she's used the palm leaves stencil at the back and then popped the flower on the side, and you can't really see it from here, but that section of the card at the front is missing, so the flower sort of floats against the background on this one. And we have a lovely one by Marianne. She's fussy cut all that out. And the background on that one has been stamped with, I believe, Floral Chaos first. Then we have another lovely one. This one is, the card is completely flat. It's just been stamped and embossed onto white cardstock with the white embossing powder and coloured in. And the next two, believe it or not, are tiny little C6 cards. So half an A5 card folded in half. So this shows that you can use these cards on these big stamps on any size card. And this one, Anita has used the tartan die and cut a window in there and just placed the small one of our chrysanthemum stamp on there, flower on there as well. So hopefully that's given you all a bit of something else to think about. You've enjoyed the demo. Again, as I've said before, just let us know if there's anything else you would like to see. A couple of things I will remind you about. If you aren't on Facebook but would like to see what happens on Facebook, you can go onto our website, which is at the bottom of the screen here, and you can click on the Facebook button at the top, and that will take you to the website, or take you to our Facebook page, but it doesn't take you to Facebook, and you don't have to be a member of Facebook to do it. You'll just get to see what we're up to. So just click on there every so often and you get to see that. All our videos are also on our website, so feel free to pop on and have a look. As I say, let me know if there's anything else you particularly like to see, and we'll be back in a couple of days with another one. Take care. Bye.